What happens when a lonely girl befriends a seemingly kind woman? She soon finds herself trapped in a nightmare as this new friend becomes obsessed and dangerous, turning her life upside down. Can she escape before it's too late? Comment below, like, and subscribe. Today, I'll recap a 2018 horror mystery film, Greta. So, keep your eyes wide open and stay safe. In the opening scene set in New York City, a young waitress named Frances McCullen is heading home from work on the subway when she notices a lonely handbag sitting on a seat. Most people would just ignore it, but Frances, being the kind-hearted soul she is, picks it up. The bag belongs to a middle-aged French woman named Greta Hideg. Since no one is at lost and found, Frances decides to do the right thing and return it herself. That's her first mistake. Frances lives with her best friend and roommate, Erica Penn. One day, Frances is still holding onto the mysterious handbag, waiting to return it. Erica, being curious, can't help but peek through its contents. Later, they go to see a movie together, but it brings up strong emotions for Frances. The movie reminds her of the times she used to go with her mom, who sadly passed away from cancer not too long ago. Frances' relationship with her dad, Chris, isn't great. He's already moved on from her mom's death and buries himself in work, which makes things feel distant between them. Frances decides to visit Greta's home to return the bag. When Greta opens the door, she's so thankful and invites Frances inside for some coffee. Greta is a piano teacher, and while they drink coffee, she plays some beautiful music for Frances. As she plays, Greta talks about her family. She explains that her husband has passed away, and her daughter Nicola lives far away in Paris. Sensing that Greta feels lonely, Frances offers to help her find a dog for company. Greta kindly declines, but she thanks Frances for being so thoughtful. Before Frances leaves, she gives Greta her phone number, just in case she changes her mind. Later that night, Greta calls Frances to take her up on the offer. So, the two of them go to find an old dog named Morton that weekend. Over the next few days, Greta keeps calling and texting Frances, and they start to build a small friendship. But Erica isn't so sure about Greta. She thinks that Frances might be using her as a way to replace her mom, and she's a little worried. Frances gets upset by this idea and defends her new friend. One evening, Frances goes over to Greta's for dinner. While she's there, she decides to look for some candles in Greta's cabinet, but what she finds makes her stop in her tracks. There are several identical handbags, and each one has the same things inside, including a note with a woman's name, Samantha Bales, and another note with Frances's own name and number. Frances gets a bad feeling, and she quickly excuses herself from dinner. She heads home feeling uneasy and tells Erica everything she found. Frances tries to go back to her normal life, but Greta keeps reaching out to her. Greta even shows up at Frances's work, hoping to talk to her. When her boss doesn't ask Greta to leave, Frances has no choice but to confront her. She tells Greta about the other handbags she found and how she doesn't want to be part of whatever strange game Greta seems to be playing. Frances tells Greta she never wants to see her again. Greta doesn't stop. She keeps stalking and bothering Frances. One day, she even stands outside the restaurant for hours, just staring at her. The police come, but because Greta hasn't actually made any threats or tried to hurt anyone, they can't do much. The officer tells Frances to just ignore her and hope she leaves. Things take a scary turn when Frances is home alone while Erica is out. Greta starts sending Frances pictures of Erica, showing her exact location. This means Greta is following Erica around. Frances quickly calls Erica and stays on the phone with her, making sure she's safe while trying to figure out where Greta is. As Frances looks for her, Greta keeps sending more pictures, showing that she's getting closer to Erica. She even follows her onto a bus. Erica spots Greta and tells her she's sick. Terrified, Erica runs off the bus and finds a cab where she meets up with Frances. The two of them decide to head straight to the police to file a restraining order against Greta. Frances becomes really worried about Morton and tries to figure out how to keep him safe from Greta. She goes to Greta's house and starts going through the trash, looking for anything that might tell her more about Greta. Among the trash, she finds an envelope addressed to someone named Nicola, but it's not from Paris. The envelope was sent back to the sender. Frances decides to try and contact Nicola, hoping to learn more. After a couple of days, Frances gets a call from an officer named Alexa Hammond, who tells her some shocking news. Alexa explains that Nicola had taken her own life 4 years ago and had never even been to France. Alexa also confirms that Greta is very sick, and when Frances shares what she learned, Alexa adds something else surprising. Greta isn't French at all. She's Hungarian. One night at the restaurant, Frances is forced to take care of Greta, who made a reservation. Greta says she just wants to talk, but she ends up causing trouble. She smashes a glass and starts talking about Frances's mom, even saying that her mom had to die for them to meet. Greta then flips over her table and starts walking toward Frances, who runs to the kitchen in panic. The staff and some customers manage to hold Greta back until the police arrive to take her away. But the next day, Frances is shocked to find out that Greta has been released. Frances decides to stay with her father for safety, thinking it might be the best option. Erica suggests that Frances should finally talk to Greta and tell her she's leaving for a while, hoping it would help slowly push Greta out of her life. When Frances does this, Greta gives her a long, uncomfortable hug. Later Later that night, Frances is enjoying a drink at home when she suddenly starts feeling dizzy. She soon realizes that Greta must have drugged the drink. Greta shows up and scolds Frances for lying about going away. Then she drags the drugged Frances to her home and locks her in a toy chest. Frances wakes up, but it all seems like a dream. She finds herself back in her apartment with Erica. As Frances tries to leave by the elevator, she notices something strange. The elevator seems to be going down deeper than it should, and the walls are closing in on her. But just when she thinks it's real, she wakes up again. It turns out that was just another dream. The truth is, Frances is still locked in the toy chest. She screams to be let out, and Greta goes to open it, treating it as a punishment for lying. Greta takes Frances's phone and tricks Erica into thinking Frances is on vacation with her father. At the same time, she makes Frances's dad, Chris, believe that Frances is on vacation with Erica. Frances is held hostage for what seems like weeks by Greta. One afternoon, Greta forces Frances to help her make cookies. While they're working, Frances grabs a cookie cutter, but suddenly slams a rolling pin down, accidentally chopping off Greta's pinky finger. In the chaos, Frances quickly hits Greta over the head with the pin. She tries to escape, but all the doors and windows are locked. Desperate, Frances runs down to the basement and finds the body of a woman named Samantha Bales. The body briefly moves, as if gasping for air, but then dies. Suddenly, Greta shows up and suffocates Frances until she passes out. When Frances wakes up, she finds herself tied to a bed and trapped in a small space behind the piano. While this is happening, Chris goes to Frances and Erica's apartment to talk to Erica. They both mention the vacations they were told about, and soon, they both realize something isn't right. Chris decides to talk to Detective Brian Cody to help find Frances. Detective Cody looks through Greta's files and finds out some shocking things. It turns out that Greta used to be a nurse, but she mistreated patients, and some even think she may have killed them. It was also believed that she had gone back to Hungary. Detective Cody finally finds Greta's house and decides to sit down for a talk with her. Frances, still trapped, hears Cody mention her name, and she desperately tries to get his attention. She bangs on the bed and even makes the pendulum on the piano start ticking. Cody moves toward the piano, but just as he's about to reach Frances, Greta runs in barefoot and injects him with something that knocks him out. Cody struggles to shoot at Greta, nearly hitting her, but before he can do anything else, he collapses and passes out. Greta then takes his gun and uses the last of the bullets to kill him. Afterward, she dumps his body into a bag, adds some chemical quicklime, and throws it into the basement. Greta goes back to the subway, looking for her next victim. A young woman with curly brown hair, we only see her from the back, arrives at Greta's house. They talk for a while, and then Greta steps away for a moment. When she comes back, she sits down to have her coffee but starts to feel dizzy. The woman then reveals herself to be Erica, who had been searching the subway for a handbag until she found Greta. Erica pulls off her wig and tells Greta that she drugged her just like she did Frances. As Greta faints, Frances tries to get Erica's attention by making the piano's pendulum move. Erica quickly pulls the piano back and frees Frances. The two hug each other, but as they're about to leave, they hear music playing, meaning Greta is still nearby. Erica steps out to find her, but as Frances follows, she suddenly feels Greta grab her by the throat. Greta tells Frances that she was her favorite one, but then Greta passes out. Erica gets ready to hit her with something, but Frances stops her and says she has a better idea. The two women decide to lock Greta in the toy chest and place an Eiffel Tower trinket on top to keep it shut. As they leave, Greta begins to move inside the chest, slowly bumping the lid. The trinket starts to shift and move, showing that the chest might not hold Greta for much longer. This makes it clear that Greta could get out before the police arrive. So, which awesome movie should we recap next? Drop your suggestions in the comments below and let's make it happen. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button so you never miss out on our movie recaps. We've got plenty more coming your way. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Produced by Warner Movie Recaps.